In a quiet suburban neighborhood, a seemingly ordinary family harbored a chilling secret. It all started when a concerned teacher noticed strange changes in young Emily, a bright and curious 10-year-old girl. Her grades dropped, her energy disappeared, and her once sparkling eyes seemed distant. What no one could have imagined was that her own grandmother, someone meant to protect and nurture her, was behind Emily's decline. The grandmother, once a doting figure, began administering something to Emily under the guise of medicine. Neighbors saw the pair less and less, their cheerful visits replaced by whispers of worry. When Emily's mother finally uncovered what was happening, the truth sent shockwaves through their community. But what could drive a grandmother to such lengths? And how did this family reach such a devastating breaking point? Stay tuned as we uncover the shocking details behind this heartbreaking story. Emily's mother, Sarah, had always trusted her own mother to care for her daughter. As a single parent juggling two jobs, she relied heavily on Grandma Margaret's help. Margaret had always seemed like the perfect grandmother, baking cookies, reading bedtime stories, and spoiling Emily with love and attention. But over time, something started to change. Emily became withdrawn and often complained about feeling sick. But whenever Sarah asked, Margaret brushed it off as just a phase. What Sarah didn't know was that Margaret had been secretly giving Emily pills, claiming they would make her feel better. Margaret insisted it was nothing harmful, just a way to help with Emily's restlessness. But the more Emily took, the worse her symptoms became. At the same time, Margaret's behavior grew more erratic. She became defensive, almost paranoid, when Sarah asked questions. The loving grandmother Sarah thought she knew began to seem like a stranger. Sarah started noticing more troubling signs in Emily. Her once bright eyes now carried dark circles, and she frequently complained of headaches and feeling cold, even when the house was warm. Concerned, Sarah decided to take Emily to the doctor, but Margaret insisted it wasn't necessary. "She just needs rest," Margaret said firmly, her tone sharper than usual. Sarah wanted to believe her mother, but her gut told her something was off. Meanwhile, Emily's teacher reached out again, expressing deep concern about Emily's behavior in class. She mentioned that Emily seemed disoriented and even fell asleep during lessons, a far cry from the energetic and curious girl she used to be. Sarah began piecing together these signs, but Margaret's growing hostility made it hard to get clear answers. One night, Sarah caught Emily shivering under layers of blankets, her tiny hands icy cold. When she asked her daughter what was wrong, Emily hesitated, glancing nervously toward the hallway. "Grandma said not to tell," she whispered. Those words sent a chill down Sarah's spine. Something wasn't just wrong, it was dangerous. Sarah couldn't shake the dread that had settled in her chest. That night, after Emily fell asleep, she searched through the house, desperate to find some explanation for her daughter's worsening condition. When she opened a drawer in Margaret's room, she froze. Among the neatly folded clothes were several small bottles of pills with no labels. Sarah's heart pounded as she wondered what Margaret had been giving Emily, and why. The next morning, Sarah decided she couldn't wait any longer. She asked Emily about the pills, but the little girl looked terrified. "Grandma says they're special," Emily said quietly. "She said they'll make me like her." Confused and alarmed, Sarah pressed for more, but Emily clammed up, clearly too scared to continue. Later that day, while Margaret was out, Sarah took one of the pill bottles to a pharmacist, hoping for answers. When the pharmacist examined the pills, their expression changed, a mix of shock and concern. "You need to take this seriously," they said. "These aren't for children, and they can be very dangerous." Panicked, Sarah rushed home to confront Margaret. But when she arrived, Margaret was waiting, her face calm yet unnervingly cold. "You've been snooping, haven't you?" she said, her voice devoid of the warmth Sarah once knew. "You don't understand. I'm doing what's best for her." The words sent a chill through Sarah. Margaret wasn't apologetic. She was convinced she was right. Sarah stood frozen, her mother's eerie calmness filling the room with an unbearable tension. "What do you mean? What's best for her?" Sarah demanded, her voice trembling. Margaret's expression didn't waver. "You're too busy to see it," she said softly. "Emily needs me. I'm the only one who can help her." Before Sarah could respond, Emily appeared in the doorway, her small frame leaning against the wall, her face pale. "Mom, I don't feel good," she whispered, clutching her stomach. Sarah rushed to her side, her heart racing. But Margaret stepped forward, her voice firm. "Let me handle this. You'll only make it worse." That's when Sarah noticed something chilling. Margaret's hand trembled as she reached for Emily, her fingers gripping the edge of a familiar pill bottle. For the first time, Sarah saw beyond her mother's composure. There was desperation in her eyes, a frantic energy that terrified Sarah. Sarah grabbed Emily and backed away. "No, Mom," she said firmly. "You've done enough." But as she held her daughter close, a horrifying thought struck her. This wasn't just about control or misguided care. Margaret was hiding something bigger. Suddenly, Emily's words from before came rushing back. She said they'll make me like her. Sarah's mind raced. What did Margaret mean by that? And why did she seem so convinced Emily needed those pills? As she pieced together the signs, Margaret's defensiveness, her erratic behavior, and now this obsession, it became clear that her mother was battling her own demons. But was she dragging Emily into something far darker than Sarah could have ever imagined? Sarah's heart pounded as she locked herself and Emily in the bedroom, dialing the doctor in a panic. The pills Margaret had been giving Emily weren't just harmful. They were a strong sedative, not meant for children. The pieces finally clicked. Margaret wasn't just controlling Emily. She was recreating something from her own past. The door rattled as Margaret's voice called from the hallway, calm but chilling. "Sarah, open the door. You're making a mistake." Sarah ignored her, holding Emily tightly as she tried to steady her shaking hands. Then Margaret's tone shifted. "You don't understand. I had to protect her. I had to stop what happened to me." Sarah froze. "What are you talking about, Mom?" She yelled back, desperate for answers. Margaret's voice cracked, and for the first time, her composure slipped. "When I was her age, they didn't protect me. I had no one. I had to take care of myself, and it ruined me." Margaret's words revealed a painful truth. Her actions were rooted in trauma. She wasn't just trying to help Emily. She was reliving her own childhood, using pills and control to shield her granddaughter from some imagined danger. But Sarah realized that in her misguided efforts, Margaret had become the danger herself. Before Margaret could force her way in, the sound of sirens filled the air. Sarah had called for help, and the authorities arrived just in time. Margaret broke down, crying as she was escorted out, her once calm demeanor replaced by fear and regret. As Sarah held Emily close, relieved that her daughter was safe, she thought the nightmare was over. But then Emily whispered, "Mom, there's still one bottle in my backpack. Grandma told me to hide it." The chilling revelation left Sarah wondering, was there more to Margaret's plan than she ever realized? In the days that followed, Sarah worked tirelessly to unravel the full extent of Margaret's actions. The hidden bottle in Emily's backpack revealed even more alarming details, medication far stronger than Sarah had feared. With the help of doctors and counselors, she began the process of getting Emily the care she needed to heal physically and emotionally. Margaret, meanwhile, was placed under evaluation. It became clear that her own unresolved trauma had driven her to act out of fear and desperation, though the harm she caused was undeniable. Sarah struggled with feelings of betrayal and sadness, but she knew she had to focus on moving forward for Emily's sake. As Sarah tucked Emily into bed one evening, Emily asked softly, "Is Grandma going to be okay?" Sarah hesitated, then said, "I hope so. She needs help, just like we all do sometimes." Though their journey was far from easy, Sarah and Emily found strength in each other, determined to rebuild their lives and leave the shadows of the past behind.